Okay, yeah. So SingleSource is what we're building is a decentralized risk scoring and identity protocols. The goal is to provide control back to individuals and basically give you back control of your data. We also enable trust, frictionless access to onboarding customers, and also maintaining a whole ecosystem that you can actually use digital identity on a broader scale. So KYC is just in one example of those things, and we're trying to create a whole entire way of how you can actually use digital identity across anywhere from transactions in business, also through to anything that you want to do in your life today, from buying services through to actually taking things like taxis and even logging onto e-commerce websites. Yeah, so there is a whole spectrum as you see today in terms of where digital identity is actually being played. We've all got lots of accounts online, but we don't actually own that data. Big companies actually use that information, monetize it, and as consumers or individuals, we get very little value out of the transactions. So what we're trying to do here is actually put that information back in your own hands, so that you can actually make that decision in a way that allows you to transact. But that actually also creates problems because by giving control back to you, then actually creates an issue around trust. So that's where we're trying to solve that big problem, is we put trust back into the ecosystem, which means businesses can actually transact with you in a way that you still can have whole control and businesses can trust you. Yeah, so SingleSource has got, so with our digital identity solutions is underpinned by a risk scoring framework. So we can use that information that you've provided through to SingleSource. Using blockchain technology, we can actually use that information to connect the dots and actually provide a holistic view of, us of a person. So a good example of trust is you might have a valid identity document, but those identity documents can still be used by fraudsters to create false IDs and so forth. So having a valid ID document might not, to a bank might be sufficient, but we can provide an extra layer of trust by providing a risk scoring. So we looked at other data points to say, you might have valid ID, but you might be connected at other sources of fraud and other connectors that might indicate otherwise. So that's where we provide that trust anchor for you. Yeah. So our company, SingleSource, we've incorporated in Singapore as well. So while our whole contingents come from New Zealand, we're actually a Singaporean company as well. So we've actually set up here in about February earlier this year. But the technology that's been driving SingleSource has actually been built about the last 2 years out of New Zealand as well. So we've proven the technology in the insurance sector. We've used it in debt collections to be able to analyze and actually eliminate fraud in that sector as well. So we've actually really tested it out. So we're trying to make it mainstream and actually allow you to actually use that information to stop. So our goal in this market, and as we're launching here, is to work with next generation businesses like crypto exchanges. So to make compliance really easy. So a good form of use case for digital identity is things like KYC. So that's just one form of us being able to use that information. We've also got things around a really strong wallet screening solution that enables things like proof of funds, to being able to identify where those sources of funds are coming from, to make sure that things are really transparent. So you hear a lot of information coming through around dark web, people investing illegal funds and so forth. So this is mainly to provide that transparency. So regulators are a lot more comfortable in terms of how ICOs are being run, crypto exchanges are being run, and of course being a really strong digital identity platform, your traditional banks and other things like insurance and so forth are really good. So KYC, high-speed onboardings are being issued for them. So being able to onboard customers, a digital identity solution is absolutely perfect for that. So think of the efficiency around how you onboard a customer today and having to do that multiple times. So we try to help them reduce that time frame as well. So once you've onboarded it, you can actually reuse that KYC many times across the sector.